Hello, reading room. How are you? This is Dr. Annette Feravich. Let me get our reading up there. My whole system crashed yesterday. You know, remember when that was like the worst thing in the world that could have happened to you? Now it's, why are you giving me PNGs? You shouldn't be giving me PNGs. Sorry, I'm not ready. No, really, I am. Oh, I am ready. I thought I had it open, and I do. So let's get to it. We are reading the book Conversations on Common Things by Dorothea Dix. And there it is. I bookmarked it. We want to unbookmark it. And close the door too. I'm gonna close the door. Lucy, what are you barking at way over there? Seriously? Come on, sit down. Okay. I don't know how to unbookmark, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Oh, I know how. All right, just making sure the scene is a little how I like it, a little mellow. Lucy not so worried about what's going on. Come on, sit down. You can sit down, honey. I thought I'd be able to put the camera on her, but I can't. Mother, I was thinking while you were this morning paying for the goods you purchased, whether money had always been in use. The use of money is so ancient, my dear, that we find no date of the time when it was first employed as an equivalent for articles purchased. As the world became peopled, men found it convenient to exchange their possessions in order that they might more generally share the comforts and necessaries of life. But this was attended with some trouble and difficulty. What sort of money was first used? The precious metals seem to have been the most usual medium of commerce, was carried by those who wished to make purchases and to the place of sale, where a purchaser provided him with instruments suitable to cut as much from the mass as should be demanded. The Lacedaemonians used iron bars quenched in vinegar, and the early inhabitants of Great Britain used small tin and iron plates and also rings of metal. That's so interesting, isn't it? So you could put iron bars in vinegar and make something probably shinier. And then therefore, it's something. Even if it's tin, it's something. You could use that metal for something. You could melt it down and make something that you want if you collected them. How about that for stinking awesome? And the early inhabitants of Great Britain used small tin. Then money has not always been coined from metals in a circular form. No, in some parts of India it is made square, in others of a globular form, and some of the Spanish coins are very irregular figures. But but metals have not always been, I mean, because, it's like, what are you going to do with them anyway? You're going to melt them down. It's tin. Why should I put my time into that? Your emperor wants his face on the coin. But metals have not always been employed to represent money. We read of stamped leather having been very anciently considered as current money. The Dutch in 1574 circulated great quantities of pasteboard, and to this day, some nations in Asia, Africa, and South America employ little shells to represent money. As society advanced in the arts of civilization, different government affixed some stamp to designate their own coin, which is basically, what can you use? Can you use shells? Can you use leather? Can you use pasteboard to make an arc? You know what I'm saying. If you watch Bookless Classroom. You say different governments used different stamps. Will you tell me some of them? Yes, the Athenian coins were marked with the image of an ox or owl. The Aegeans impressed a tortoise upon theirs. They have a tradition that money was first coined in their island. I consider this as doubtful, however. The Jewish coin had a shekel stamped on one side and a pot of manna upon the other with the representation of Aaron's rod. Who has that? I want to see that coin. Oh my gosh. The Romans sometimes impressed upon their coins the images of persons who had been eminent amongst them. This was never done in honor of the living till after the fall of the Commonwealth, when it became customary to impress the head of the reigning sovereign. And this is now common among many civilized nations. The Mohammedans, I figured it's something like that. The Mohammedans dislike images and usually inscribe only the name of their prince and the year of the Hijra, or flight of Mohammed, their prophet. Our American coins are stamped on one side with the image of an eagle and on the other with the head of liberty, with 13 stars representing the 13 states which were first settled and erected into separate state governments, though united under the general or congressional government. Of what are cents and half cents made, mother? Of copper, which is here coined into money of no higher value. Our silver coins are half dimes valued at 5 cents, whole dimes at 10 cents, quarter dollars at 25 cents, half dollars at 50 cents, and whole dollars at 100 cents. Our smallest gold coins are quarter eagles valued at $2.50, half eagles at $5, and whole eagles at $10. Thus we say 10 mills make 1 cent, 10 cents, 1 dime, 10 dimes, $1, $10, 1 eagle. Mills have never been coined, but we have half cents, which are in value 5 mills. What are our largest gold coins called? Why are our largest gold coins called eagles, mother? Because they are stamped on one side with the image of that bird, which is the national emblem of our country. But you have not mentioned all our silver coins, mother. All American coins I have, my dear, but we have Spanish coins in circulation as half reals valued at 6 1/4 cents, whole reals at 12 1/2 cents, together with others of various sized and denominations. Pence, I know, belong to the English sterling money. I learned that at school. It's interesting she's using learned now, not learnt. I suppose then that you have sufficient knowledge of arithmetic to tell me how many dollars of American currency make a pound sterling. $4.44, Mother. My teacher told me that in school this morning. There's a 444. Interesting. My teacher told me that in school this morning after I had puzzled a long time to find it out. I am glad you do not forget what is taught you. It convinces me you are desirous of improving yourself, and your kind preceptress will be encouraged to give you further assistance when she finds you profit by what she has already taught you. I often hear shopkeepers use the word shilling in giving a price of goods. Is there such a piece of money, Mother? Not in New England, my dear, although in Virginia and New England, the word signifies about 16.5 cents. A shilling varies in value in different parts of the world. An English shilling is 22 cents. A Halifax shilling is 20 cents. A New York shilling is 12.5 cents. The currency of the American colonies before the Revolution was in pounds, shillings, and pence. After these colonies became independent and the federal constitution was adopted, the present kind of money reckoned in dollars and cents was established by law. This is more easily reckoned than any other. I presume the English custom of packing articles in dozens of 12 and grosses of 12 times 12 arose from the nature of their money in order to make their reckoning easier. For instance, if 1 dozen straw hats cost 15 shillings, 1 hat will cost 15 pence. Or if a gross of buttons cost 36 shillings, 144 a gross, 1 dozen will cost 36 pence, or 3 shillings, and a single button 3 pence. I think, Mother, according to this rule, American articles ought to be packed in parcels of 10s instead of 12s. Their single value would certainly be more readily determined, and those people who are not very quick at computation would find much less difficulty in reckoning their accounts. For $15, 100 is 15 cents a piece, but $15 a gross requires more calculations to come at the true value of a single article. Why have the English called one of their gold coins guinea? Because the gold of which they at first made this kind of money came from that part of Africa called Guinea. The first coinage of guineas was in the reign of Charles II. It's interesting that's not capitalized. The coinage of gold was not generally adopted in Europe till the 14th century, when the discovery of America, where this precious metal abound, brought it into more common use. Mother, how is money stamped? It was formerly done with hammers and small instruments made for the purpose, but a machine is now used by which the coinage is much facilitated and improved, so that many thousand pieces may be struck or stamped in an hour. That's what I'm looking to do, because I just got my new Silhouette Portrait 3. Not yet, I haven't gotten it yet. I am so excited, so that my stamps are nice and clean on my leather templates, right? As well as getting a deeper stamp for leather as well. I'm so pleased. Mother, how is money stamped? All right, wait, I just said that. The English Mint or Office for Coinage is in the Tower of London. Our national mint is at Philadelphia. I read the other day, Mother, that the Burmans and Chinese have no coin, but that silver and lead and bullion are current amongst them. I do not know the meaning of bullion. Will you explain it? It is either gold or silver or any other metal in the mass that is uncoined. Metals are said to be in bullion when melted from their native ores into bars or ingots. Mother, you call the pieces of engraved paper in your pocketbook money. Yes, they are banknotes and are employed for convenience instead of gold and silver, which are more bulky and inconvenient to carry about in large sums. Banknotes are engagements to pay the bearer on demand at the bank whence they are issued, the sum stipulated on the note. With these notes, any article can be purchased as readily as with gold and silver. I have heard of notes of hand. Are they not banknotes? No, quite different. A note of hand is given from one man to another, promising that he will pay the sum therein stipulated in a certain time, which is determined and agreed upon by the parties concerned. These notes cannot pass from one person to another like banknotes, because a banknote promises to pay its value on demand. Therefore, if you wish for gold or silver for your banknote, you have only to ask the cashier at the bank to exchange it, and it will be done. Well, that's so doggone interesting, isn't it? Uh-oh. What was that? It sounds like cattle, or maybe horses. I'm not sure. Did the bank make Father a present of those notes he had yesterday? I should like to go there too and get some for myself. Your father transacted some business for the directors and they paid him in notes you saw. But they would not give you notes of money only for your asking for them, unless you were in distress and they were inclined to relieve your sufferings. You know you must have shoes and clothes and books and a great many other things which cannot be obtained without money. Now I shall give some of the notes which are in my pocketbook to the shopkeepers in pay for your clothes, and they will pay them away to others, and thus the notes will circulate through the country. What is a bank, Mother, and what are bank directors? I find this really fascinating because I really don't know anything about money or bank circulation. I really just don't. I should. And that's like probably a basic, I would have to say, wouldn't you? What is a bank, Mother, and what are bank directors? Bank in commerce signifies a common repository where many persons agree to deposit their money for safekeeping. The persons who so deposit their money meet together once a year and choose 9 directors to superintend the institution and to lend out the money on interest to such persons as wish to borrow and whom they consider trustworthy. These directors choose a president and a cashier who attend at the banking house every day. Now, instead of lending silver and gold, which I before told you were heavy to carry about, they issue such banknotes as we have been speaking of, and which at any time may be returned to the bank in exchange for the precious metals. People place their money in the bank either for safekeeping or to receive interest upon it by lending it to persons who pay them for the use of it. The first institutions of banks was in Italy, where the Lombard Jews kept benches in the marketplaces for exchange of money and bills, and banco, being the Italian word to signify bench banks, took their name from this circumstance. Interesting. I understand, that there is a connection, but it seems to be just as relevant to me, at least anyway, as it still is yellow there, doesn't it? Oh. But still, like, again, with I just don't think that a lot of things. I mean, I just don't think that, for example, uh, Cain, what he said was, I can't take the guilt. And who even knows what Abel looked like? And what I mean by that is he could have mistaken Abel for an animal, for a predator, and felt something that he had no idea what it was, but covered it up, just like Eve. But just like Eve, I don't think that there was a reason for her guilt, but I just think, because I don't think that I think she was like, forget you. There's an innocence there between her and Adam that I just don't believe was tempted in that way as described or even as assumed. We have many banks in the United States. The principal, the United States Bank, located in Philadelphia, and its various branches in the principal cities of the Union. There are also state and company banks in all parts of our country. All you have told me is very entertaining. I shall learn to cipher with much more pleasure now I know something about money. Can you tell me who invented ciphering, Mother? I'm quite impatient to learn. The use of numbers is very ancient, though different nations employed different methods for computing. The Romans employed the letters of the alphabet to express figures. Our numerical figures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 are borrowed from the Arabians. And it is by the different combination of the 10 simple or cardinal figures that we compute sums either of great or small value. Ciphering is of great advantage to everyone, but especially so to children, for by it they not only acquire what they would be obliged to learn in more advanced age, but their understandings are improved and their memories strengthened, while at the same time they are taught to study and fix their minds upon one object. I would therefore by all means have you give great attention to your arithmetic, as its advantages are so many and important. Who made the multiplication table, Mother? It is supposed to have been the invention of Pythagoras, a Grecian philosopher and teacher, more than 500 years before the birth of Christ. I'm sure we should be much obliged to him for it. I find it very convenient when I cipher, and am glad I have learned it perfectly, though I thought it would be of little use when my teacher desired me to commit it to memory. You must ever keep in mind that whatever your teacher in school or your parents at home think proper for you to learn should be attended to at once without hesitation, as they are much better qualified to judge what studies are proper for you to pursue than you can be for yourself these many years to come. I will for the future think of this and try to feel interested in all my lessons. What money was first in use? What was the Lacedaemonian money? Do all nations coin money in a circular form? What were some of the stamps impressed upon ancient coins? What money is coined in America? Does the coin of other nations circulate here? What is bullion? What is a bank? What is a bank note? What is a note of hand? Who invented the multiplication tables? What's ciphering? Conversation 8. Daughter, now mother, my lessons are all learned for school. You promised me when the collier brought our coal that you would tell me how it was made. But I wish to know if it is the same kind of coal I have been studying of in my lesson today. My lesson was concerning the state of Pennsylvania, and the geography informs me coal is very abundant in and around Pittsburgh. It gives me much pleasure, my good little girl, to find you so studious and observing, and it will always afford me pleasure to give you all the useful information you ask. The coal brought from Pittsburgh is dug from mines in the earth and is called mineral, or in the opinion of modern geologists, more properly vegetable coal. That which I bought today is charcoal. In mineral or vegetable coal found in any other country, but is mineral or vegetable coal found in any other country but the United States? Yes, England yields immense quantities of it annually. The best English coal is brought from Newcastle, a town in the northeastern part of England on the river Tyne. The next in estimation comes from the vicinity of Liverpool, a fine commercial city on the river Mersey, and from Whitehaven. The mines at this latter place are the deepest that have hitherto been wrought. The salt mines in Hungary and those of silver in South America, though called the deepest yet being situated in mountainous regions, are not so far below the ordinary surface of the earth as the coal mines of Whitehaven. Almost all the states of America yield coal in greater or less quantities, but the best is brought from Pennsylvania and is called the Schuylkill and Lehigh coal. Isn't that interesting? Mineral coal has recently been discovered in Worcester, a pleasant, flourishing town in Massachusetts. It is not very valuable. In Europe, mineral coal is very generally burnt instead of wood, particularly by the inhabitants of Great Britain. The inhabitants of the United States of late years seem to follow their example, though wood is so easily obtained that it is burnt almost wholly in villages and inland towns. Yeah, they're burning their own home instead of getting the coal, right? So you could see how some of them who work in the coal mines would be bringing coal to burn instead of their own homes. That's interesting, isn't it? Charcoal is burnt wood and contains a portion of carbon. It is made of in the following manner: a piece of ground 10 or 12 yards in circumference is cleared and excavated, and 12 inches below the surface. Into this space are thrown faggots and dry billets of wood. These are piled until they form a little mound or hill over which are laid sods of grass and earth so as to cover the wood entirely, leaving only 2 or 3 small openings to admit the air. Fire is put into these spurtures and the wood kindles, and as it cannot blaze being closely covered, it is converted into coal. When the wood is completely on fire, the holes are closed with earth, and the fire without air to feed it is extinguished. After this, the earth is removed and the charcoal is loaded into carts and carried to market. Charcoal is very useful to kindle fires as it is dry and burns quickly. This is so interesting because this sounds to me like gopher material. which is what they were talking about for Noah's Ark. I suppose charcoal is only used for fires. You are mistaken. It is a chief ingredient in the manufacture of gunpowder. So they were tearing apart. I mean, this is the hypothesis. These ancient sites for charcoal for gunpowder. And there's the capitalistic stink right there. Is it possible, Mother? Do tell me how gunpowder is made and also who first invented it. Schwartz, a German monk of the city of Cologne, about 1340, is said to have invented gunpowder, having made a mixture of nitrate that is a chemical. I don't know how to say it. Niter, sulfur, and charcoal. A spark accidentally fell upon the ingredients. Seems like that might be easy to accomplish their task. And a violent explosion took place. Astonished at this result, he prosecuted his experiments and thus ascertained the composition and nature of gunpowder. It is composed of equal parts charcoal and sulfur with more than double the quantity of niter or saltpetre. In the first place, these ingredients are separately reduced to fine powder, then mixed and ground or beaten together in a wooden mortar. A quantity of water, then, all right, so here, I mean, it's not like, again, you're not able to get this from the internet, but you just, Mother, there were wars before gunpowder was invented. With what weapons did soldiers fight? They could use neither cannon nor guns without powder. Swords, sharp scythes, and daggers were used by some. Others were armed with slings, bows and arrows, pikes and clubs. Have you now told me all the uses of charcoal? No. Reduced to a fine powder, it is applied to the teeth as a dentifrice and is certainly a very cleansing and proper application for them. Charcoal is also an excellent preservative of unsalted meats, keeping them fresh and sweet. It has the quality of rendering putrid substances sweet. Meat that is a little tainted becomes fit for use when rubbed with finely pulverized charcoal. Putrid water may be purified by passing it through this substance when freshly prepared. We are told that Herculaneum, a city which was destroyed more than 1700 years ago by an eruption of Vesuvius, beams of wood converted into charcoal are found entire, a proof that this substance is affected neither by moisture nor air. I have read that in the British Museum is charcoal, which was made of corn in the days of Julius Caesar, and which is still in so perfect a state that the grains of wheat may be distinguished from those of rye. What? This is indeed very wonderful. Can you tell me anything more that will be as entertaining? No, not now, my daughter. I am engaged the remainder of the evening. You may read. Sorry about that. Oh, clean. I am engaged the remainder of this evening. You may read any of the books you find on the study table till it is time for bed, which will be very soon. If little girls are up late at night, there is a danger that they will waste the pleasant hours of morning in sleep. You know the lines I gave you the other day to commit to memory. Yes, Mother, I've learnt them. Do let me repeat them before you go. I will hear you with pleasure. How foolish they who lengthen night and slumber in the morning light. I didn't slumber this morning, although I did lengthen my night last night. That's for sure. I was up until 2:30 this morning, but I took a nap. I mean, it really, more to read. It really is sometimes a little difficult, as we all know. How sweet at early dawn to rise, to view the glories of the... I should have known she didn't only memorize 2 lines. To view the glories of the skies and mark with curious eye the sun, begin his radiant course to run. Her fairness robed than nature wears, and clad in brightest green appears. The sprightly birds with artless lay proclaim the entrance of the day. How sweet to breathe the gale's perfume, and feast the eye with nature's bloom. Along the dewy lawn to rove, and hear the music of the grove. Nor you, ye delicate and fair, neglect to taste the morning air. This will your nerves with vigor brace, improve and heighten every grace, and to your breath a rich perfume, and to your cheek a fairer bloom. With luster teach your eyes to glow, and health and cheerfulness bestow. Very well repeated, my daughter. I must now go. Good night, Mother. What countries afford the best mineral coal? What is charcoal? How made? What are its uses? When was gunpowder invented, and by whom? What weapons were in use before gunpowder was invented? And our last conversation number 9, we notice the Romans are using the letters. We use the Arabian counting system, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. These chapters are numbered using Roman numerals. I'm looking that way because I'm seeing it. Daughter, dear Mother, it is quite early. I hope we shall have a long time this evening to converse. Father has promised to take me to the glass works at South Boston very soon. Will you be so glad as to tell me when the making of glass was invented? I should like to know before I go. It is a matter of doubt and dispute among different writers when glass was first made. Probably, however, many centuries ago. It is generally allowed that the Tyrians first possessed this art. Glass windows were unknown in Great Britain before 1180, and for many years after that time were so expensive that they were considered suitable only for palaces and churches. But what of what were windows made before people had glass? The houses must have been very dark. It is probable that shutters made to throw open in pleasant weather were the first attempts to introduce daylight into dwelling houses, and to this day they are common in the south of Europe. I find this so interesting about glass, and then so it does seem that it is somewhat of a mystery. And to this day there, all right, we got, in some countries, the next advance was oiled paper. This would in a very short time be destroyed by inclement weather. Horn, which is more durable than paper, was introduced soon after. Neither of these substances are transparent, yet they will admit light, although external objects are excluded. And before people had even these last named substitutes, how could they in cold countries see to work during the storms of winter and the long summer rains? They burn oil and torches of dry wood. You will find occasion, my daughter, as you become acquainted with the limited conveniences and comforts which the ancients possessed, to be thankful to that good being who has created you in more refined age and multiplied around you everything that can contribute to your happiness and improvement. I am thankful, I hope, dear mother. You have so often told me my duty that I should be very ungrateful and wicked to forget it. You say the Tyrians were probably the first glassmakers. What nation acquired this art next after them? The Italians and French, and from France it was introduced into England. Germany and Holland probably became possessed of this art very early. The first glass works established in England seem to have been about the year 1557 and Crutched Friars. They are now frequent in Europe and America. There are 5 in and near Boston. Glass is one of the most elastic bodies in nature. If suddenly cooled, it becomes very brittle. Glass may be variously colored: green by the oxide of copper, violet by the oxide of manganese, and red by a mixture of oxide of copper and iron, purple by the purple oxide of gold, white by the oxide of arsenic and zinc, yellow by the oxide of silver and some combustible bodies. Plate glass is cast upon a large table on which it is poured when very hot. The excrescences or bubbles are immediately removed by a roller that is swiftly passed over it. The plate is then annealed in the usual way by a gradual admission of cold. The Venetians long excelled all Europe in the manufacture of crystal-looking glasses. Glass plates for looking glasses were not manufactured in England until 1673, when a manufactory was established at Lambeth by some Italian artist. The French soon acquired the art and were famous for the great size of their plates. Glass metal is, as you know, also made into various articles, both useful and ornamental. Yes, we have decanters, tumblers, cruets, salt cellars, dessert plates, fruit dishes, lamps, and chandeliers, besides a great many other things. Then all our windows are glass. I am very glad I do not live in those countries where they have no glass windows. I remember, Mother, the musical tones I heard produced from the harmonica when it was here. How wonderful that musical notes should be produced from glass. Then Cousin Elizabeth has a set of glasses upon which she plays a great many tunes. The glasses are partly filled with water while she is playing, but I forgot that you know all this, for you were with me at my aunt's the last time I heard her play. The music produced from these glasses is certainly very soft and pleasing, but do you know what burning glasses are? I believe not exactly, Mother. They are glasses made in a particular form so that when held in the sun, they concentrate or collect the rays into one point of the glass. The point where the rays meet and unite their heat is called the focus. The heat thus produced is of sufficient power to light candles, cigars, and indeed every combustible substance. That's crazy. And how did we learn that? So these are burning glasses. I wonder what kind of, and of course you can't get burning glasses to highlight because nobody wants you to know that secret. Historians inform us that Archimedes, the celebrated geometrician of Syracuse made burning glasses of such power as to set fire to the enemy's ships, which were then lying in the harbor. You must remember that we should have neither telescopes, microscopes, nor magnifying glasses without the aid of glass. Nor spectacles, mother. Aged people and those who are nearsighted or have weak eyes are much indebted to the inventors of glass, and to Spina, the good monk of Pisa, for convenience and advantage they derive from spectacles. He lived towards the close of the 13th century, but since his time this valuable invention has been much improved. Mother, what are telescopes and microscopes? A telescope consists of a number of glasses differing in size and fitted into a hollow tube, by looking through which objects that are at a great distance appear to be brought near and may be distinctly viewed. Stars which are visible to our eyes are, by the aid of this instrument, made plainly visible. The largest and most powerful telescope ever made belonged to the celebrated Dr. Herschel, who discovered the planet which has received his name. What planet? What are you talking about? Huh? Seems like somebody changed history. A microscope is an instrument calculated to show distinctly the minutest objects by magnifying their size. This instrument is composed of a mirror and several glasses properly arranged. Your father has one in the study, and sometime when he is in leisure will show you the effect it has in magnifying insects or whatever is viewed through it. Thank you, Mother. Do tell me who was so ingenious as to invent these curious instruments. Many have claimed the honor of their invention. It is generally allowed that a Neapolitan, by name Baptista Porta, made the first telescope. About 50 years after this, the spectacle maker of Magdeburg improved it. Galileo, an astronomer of Venice, made and afterwards repeatedly improved the construction, since which this optical instrument has been perfected. The inventor of the first microscope is unknown in truth. It may be more properly termed a discovery than an invention, as the first hint was probably accidental and probably looking at nature. Right? Oh, Mother, speaking of inventions and glass, reminds me of a vial Henry gave me last week containing a little reel with silk wound upon it. Now, I cannot imagine how the reel came in the vial, for the mouth is so small, I can hardly get a quill into it, and the reel is much larger. Can you tell me how Henry contrived to put it in? Perhaps he carried it to a glassmaker and got him to form the vial over the reel, and yet I do not see how that could be, for the heated glass would be very likely to burn up the reel and silk too. Yes, that would be a natural consequence, to be sure, but here comes your brother, and I dare say he will solve your doubts at once. Can you not, Henry? Yes, Mother. I thought Sarah might puzzle her active mind a little while, but I will tell you now, sister. Look here, do you not see that the reel is composed of 3 pieces of mahogany? I dropped them one by one into the mouth of the vial, and then with these little wire instruments joined them in the proper shape. After this, I put the silk in and wound it on the reel by means of a small wire hook. It took me a long time to fasten the knot, but I did it at last, and you may keep the vial and its contents as a specimen of your patience and ingenuity. I shall keep it, brother. Though you were going to say something else, I will not detain you longer, for I see you only came for a book. Mother, will you tell me of what use is the thermometer which hangs in the hall? What else I find so interesting about this daughter is that she can't spend a lot of time on something, as each thing has equal wonder to her, right? That may have been a little disappointing for her brother, because that is just an unbelievable feat. But what this daughter is doing is, I can tell, she's trying not to forget her questions. So she was reminded along the way. She's giving it appropriate it's appropriate due, because that's just so crazy incredible. And so she barely acknowledges this unbelievable gift of her brother Henry, but in her small words, she gave him hopefully enough of a compliment before she really wanted to go on and ask about something that she forgot, that she didn't want to forget about. It shows the variations of temperature in the air, the increase or decrease of heat and cold. You have observed that the little glass tube attached to the case contains a white silvery substance. This is quicksilver. It rises in the tube as the weather moderates and becomes warm, and descends when it changes to cold. Cold having the effect of condensing that metal, as heat has of expanding it. Will you tell me what is the mariner's compass? I heard my Uncle Charles tell Henry that without it, seamen could not guide their vessels across the ocean from one country to another. They were called away just as I was going to ask an explanation of them, but I have kept it in mind, for I should like very much to know. So she's also trying to keep up with her brother, right? In all these questions. It consists of a needle of iron impregnated with the qualities of the lodestone, and so influenced by it that it always points very nearly north and south. This needle is enclosed in a box marked with all the points of the compass, and a seaman acquainted with these might direct his ship with certainty and ease. You will better understand this by seeing a compass and at the same time the globe. I dare say either your father or your uncle will show you all you can wish to know about it. The mariner's compass was the invention of a Neapolitan named Flavio about the beginning of the 14th century. That was before Columbus discovered America, Mother. I suppose he could not have sailed across the Atlantic Ocean without one. I love to think of Columbus. He was so persevering and patient. And again, remembering her brother again in this diatribe that she doesn't want to forget in her young mind. She is giving a little nod, the city of nod, to her brother. But will you tell me what of the lodestone is what the lodestone is, which possesses such useful, surprising properties as to direct the needle always one way. It is an ore of iron in weight and color, resembling that mineral, though somewhat harder. It is chiefly found in iron mines and is usually called a magnet, and the property which it possesses is called magnetism. It attracts all metals. There is a knife in my writing desk which has been magnetized. Bring it to me. Touch the point of this needle to the blade. You see the needle attracts itself to the knife at once. It will not fall unless you shake the knife or agitate the needle violently. This is indeed wonderful. I shall never forget the properties of the lodestone, nor the many useful things which you have told me this evening. I hope you will not. Always remember those things that tend to strengthen and improve your understanding. You cannot learn without attention, neither retain those lessons that you have once learned without frequently reflecting upon and reviewing them in your mind. By this means, things long past will remain impressed upon your memory. It will be of little use that I devote an hour every evening, particularly to you, besides frequent introductions at other times. It will be of less use that your teachers at school appoints and teaches you daily lessons unless you apply your mind steadily and earnestly to learn them both accurately and thoroughly. It is of no use to commit whole pages to memory merely to recite them once without hesitation. You must think of the meaning more that the words, of the ideas more than the language. Say this rather to encourage you to persevere in well-doing than to reprove you for neglect. She is anxious to be and encouraged by her, anxious in a positive way, anxious to get out her questions because she's so encouraged by her mother's response. So that she sees there is a gain in well-doing, in well-being than there is to reprove her or punish her for neglect. Your improvement has been as rapid and solid for the last year as I could desire, and so long as you continue amiable, studious, and diligent, you will continue to be the joy and happiness of your parents and friends. Practical questions. What do you need to do to be the joy and happiness of your parents and friends? When were glass windows introduced into England? Who were the first glass makers? What are burning glasses? When were spectacles invented and by whom? What is a telescope? What is a microscope? What is the mariner's compass? By whom invented? What are properties of the lodestone? And again, what brings your parents joy and happiness, your parents and friends? Thank you so much for joining me here in the reading room. We are reading Conversations on Common Things by author Dorothea Dix. I talk a lot about her background. Look her up. Boy, she is one amazing woman. Thanks so much for joining me here in the classroom. We're back to our 3 days off. Maybe you want to read ahead. Maybe you want to look up some of those things even that I highlighted and do a little bit of AI research. It can be very valuable. If you're not quite sure how to do the AI research, watch Bookless Classroom. I do online AI research in front of you on Noah's Ark. Thanks so much for joining me here in the classroom this week. Day 248, done with it. September 18th, only halfway done. Thanks so much again for joining me where we in the classroom bring you a healthier mind, a healthier body, and a healthier spirit.